Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the ColdFusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome back to another episode of the Modernize or Die podcast. It's the CFML News Edition. It's November 10th, 2020, and I am Gavin Pickin, and I'm happy to be joined by Eric Peterson this week.
Hey, glad to be back. Thanks, Gavin.
No problems. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and for those watching live in the chat on YouTube, hit us up with some comments. We'll try and keep up as we go.
Okay. We know most of you are probably watching that Apple event, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you.
Maybe. Okay, well, first let's thank our sponsors, Ortus Solutions. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this podcast. So, just want to let you know that there's a Into the Box Latam conference coming up on December 3rd and 4th. It's going to have English and Spanish sessions available, so lots of great content there. And it's only $7. We try to make it region friendly, so if you want to subscribe to that, we'll tell you a little more in the conferences section. Another way you can give back to Ortus and thank him for helping with this podcast is to sign up for CFCasts, which release new content every week. So we have some free content, some paid content, but lots of great content on CFCasts.com. And then the other people that are helping make this podcast happen are our Patreon supporters, right, Eric?
That's right. We are up to 33 Patreons. That's providing 57% of the funding for this podcast. And you can learn more at patreon.com/Ortus Solutions. And thank you so much for those contributing in any of these ways.
Yep, much appreciated for sure. Okay, so let's check out the first news event, and a little selfless plugging as usual, but ColdFusion now has a new site, so it's all pretty. There's lots of moving oohs and ahs, but we've updated the site, got more information, so if you guys want to check that out, let us know if it's got any comments, feedback, etc. But again, we're just trying to make it a little easier to get up and running with ColdFusion, and so we've updated this site here. And there's even a link right there to go see CFCasts. So.
That's right. It's really nice. And I don't know if we're going to do a deep dive on the technology, but there's some neat technologies that were used to make this as well. So hopefully we get that all. But my favorite's all the animation, I'll be honest.
Yep.
It's fun to go in and be like, ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Just a lot of detail and time and efforts put into the site, just like we try and do with everything Ortus related. And so definitely check it out. And this one is just focused mainly on ColdFusion. Obviously, there's links to documentation, downloads, training, support, everything else. So, but just a little spotlight there. New site. Go check it out. And yeah. Okay. Well, we also have some quite a lot of online meetups, and the first one's the Seattle CFUG, which is going to be on Wednesday night, and that's going to be a hands-on deep dive into interacting with the Thinkific API.
So I believe this is the third in this series.
It's actually
on the Thinkific.
I think it's the second one. They did one in October. This is November. We've been talking about it for a while because I like Thinkific, so I'm excited to see this out here. So, but yeah, it's a really great product. Thinkific is really neat. Their API is really powerful, and it's really easy to work with. I like their documentation and everything too. So if you're wanting to learn about working with APIs, this might be good too. But if you're looking at getting like your own learning platform, maybe you're looking at something like Podia or Teachable, we went with Thinkific because their API allowed us to do a lot more from ColdFusion with it, and so that's why we're using that. But yeah, it's nice to see other people using it and sharing that. So Leon Daniel's leading that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this session. And as we mentioned, this is the second in the series, so the other one is available through the meetup group as well. You can see the recording.
Awesome. The online CF meetup will be back on this Thursday, November 12th, at 5 p.m. Central, and it is going to be using Taffy, API live coding and fireside chat with Adam Tuttle. So Adam Tuttle is the author behind Taffy, which is a framework, ColdFusion framework for making great APIs.
Yep, it's been around quite a while. He's got a book out there as well that he wrote, and he's doing a little bit more with it now. And since APIs are just taking off with CFML, he's coming back and presenting on this. So we got a little API sort of series going on the online CF meetup. I did a session last month, and we'll be doing another session as well later on. But it's good to see different ways to build APIs with ColdFusion. So, yep,
Yeah,
that'll be a good
I like
session.
I like watching these ones because although I'm very biased to ColdBox, it's nice to see different approaches and their merits and see what we can share between all these different frameworks.
Yep, I know Adam's got a couple of really cool things that I like that Teffy does that I haven't seen in many other places and everything. So yeah, it's a good framework, and he'll be doing that presentation Thursday. So check that out. And in case you missed it, last week's online CF meetup is online now on YouTube. Charlie's got a channel with a bazillion videos up there. And last week, TJ Van Tol did a session on building great user interfaces fast with Kendo UI. So I think he's actually doing another talk about Kendo UI and for the React meetup coming up this week as well. I don't have the link to that, but Kendo UI has been around for a while now, but it's still improving and still making some changes. So pretty cool to see that.
And one more, in case you missed it, we had our own webinar with Ortus this last Friday, a ContentBox AMA, Ask Me Anything with Luis and Gavin. So how'd
Yeah,
that go, Gavin?
I think it went really well. We started off basically just chit-chatting with everybody, talking and asking questions and sort of answering from the chat, and had a lot of good feedback. We were planning to have John do his Mira to ContentBox conversion last week, but with some client work, he wasn't able to finish the module. So we wanted to we postponed that, but we wanted to meet and sort of tell everyone what we have been working on, and so we gave a sneak peek of some of the new stuff with the ContentBox 5, so we showed the multi-site and answered quite a few questions that everybody had. So I think it went really well. The recording is up on CFCasts.com, and we have that in the show notes, so you can go check that out. It is free to view. You just need an account to sign in with to view that. But yeah, go check that out and see what we're doing with ContentBox, and we'll be rescheduling the one with John as soon as possible. So as soon as we have that and we got some room on the calendar because of all these holidays coming up, we'll get that out there as well. But I think it went really well. We had a lot of positive feedback, so good interactions.
Awesome. Speaking
Cool.
of CFcasts, we have a couple of updates there.
Yep.
Beside the webinar, we have a new video in our CFConfig series with Grant on environment variables and how those fit into CFConfig. So you can check it out, the link in the show notes or in the chat, and get learning there.
Yep. Lots of good stuff. Okay, well, apparently November is a month for conferences because nobody wants to do any work with Thanksgiving coming up and everything, so they're just going to have a conference every day. So if you are actually listening to us and not watching the Apple event right now, you could be at the DigitalOcean event today, Deploy, because that is going on right now. It's a 24-hour community conference, so it starts today at 10 a.m. Eastern, so it started already. There's over 80 sessions, lots of great stuff there, and if you go to digitalocean.com/deploy, you can probably do a late registration and still see lots of great content there. Also,
Right.
also today we got a .NET conference going on as well. So obviously where ColdFusion is by default. If you're listening to this, you're probably doing ColdFusion, but there is some content in the .NetConf that may be of interest to you as well. So that's going on November 10th through the 12th, and there's things like Docker, Azure, Kubernetes, GitHub Actions, and other things like that that might be of interest to you, even though the rest of the .NET stuff may not be as interesting. But that's available.
Now, I haven't been in the ColdFusion world that long, but wasn't there a version that ran on .NET?
They tried to do a cross build way back. I think it was in 2005 or something. I remember them trying to do something. There was also a PHP compile version that they were trying to do, and yeah, it's kind of experimental. I mean, I think it was about the same time that Open Blue Dragon and Raylo was there. Oh, Charlie's saying in the chat, BlueDragon.net ran entirely on .net.
There you
So,
go. So for those of you still using BlueDragon.net, here's a .net conference for you.
yeah, but obviously, a lot of the things they're doing there with the API services through Azure and all sorts of stuff. I mean, you can always tie into it, and that's what we like about ColdFusion. And as Charlie mentions in the chat, we've had .NET integration since ColdFusion 8 anyway. That's one of the good things about ColdFusion. You can tie into pretty much everything. So yeah. Okay, so that's .NETConf.net. If you want to go check that out and check out a few sessions there. Okay, we also have Adobe ColdFusion CF Summit 2020, which replaces the CF Summit West in Las Vegas. Now, on the website, there's 2 days in the schedule, November 17th and 18th, but everywhere else still talks about the 19th, so I'm not sure if something's meant to go there or we're just not updating it. But that's online, it's free. The speakers in the schedule are now on the website, and they're adding a few more sessions too. So they just added a panel with myself and Charlie and Nolan and Brian Class and David Byers talking about the modern CFML challenges. And there's a few other sessions on there too. So they are updating it all the time. Do go check it out and see if there's any other sessions. But one thing that we noticed was the weird timeline, right, Eric?
Yeah, that's right. So take a close look at the times of these different sessions because they're accommodating people from all over the globe. For instance, on the 18th, the schedule starts for us, 1:30 Pacific in the morning. For people over in India, over in Europe. So I think it's awesome, but it definitely caught me by surprise when I saw that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, was it a mistake or?
Yeah, I assume that these will be available as the recordings because I probably won't be up at 1:30 watching these. Sorry, I'm sure they're great, but I have to sleep, especially since I have to talk later that day.
Yep, I know. There's some good stuff there too. I think I saw David Tattestall from Fusion Reactor going to be speaking at probably like 5:30 in the morning Pacific or something. So there's definitely some early times in there. Yeah, so that was 3:30. Sorry, go ahead.
One other thing I do know is it will be on a new video platform, kind of like we used for Into the Box, not quite the same vendor, but this will not be like Adobe Connect or anything like that. So you should have a really great experience, technologically speaking.
Yep, and I'm hoping that some of the virtual stuff comes in, because that's what we really miss about these conferences, right, Eric? I know with COVID and everything, we're like, hopefully Into the Box can go in person next year, because we miss everybody. We miss you guys. So, but we got to do what we got to do. So,
that's right.
Yep, so November 17th and 18th, and cfsummit.adobeevents.com. Go register. It's free and really quick and easy to do. So, David misses us too. We miss you, David. Bellinger, that is. We got a few Davids. I should probably be more specific.
The rest of you Davids doesn't matter.
Yeah, and just FYI too, if you want to do the Adobe ColdFusion Certification, it is online and available. We have links in the show notes. You can find out more about that and how to sign up. Okay, so if they're not sure if they want to attend all the Adobe ColdFusion sessions, looks like they got plenty of other things to look at too this week, right, Eric?
That's right. There's a couple conferences that same week. One's a developer week in Austin. It's free with a code FREE2020.
Yeah, and they have
and it
some.
Covers. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, they have some pro and premium passes available, but they got a lot of good content in there too. There's like a whole JavaScript conference in there, and there's some DevOpsy stuff. So there's like 8 little mini conferences in these developer weeks. So you can definitely find some good content in there. But yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
If you want to hurt your brain, you can go to KubeCon. The keynote is free, and the conference is $100 virtual.
Yeah, and that one actually has some cloud native stuff too. I'm kind of curious about that. So
I read anything Kubernetes and just think that's going to hurt my brain. I'm going to come back to that later.
Yeah, and that's all part of the Linux Foundation. They're running that one there. So yeah, I'm kind of curious what the cloud native stuff is about though, because obviously KubeCon, Kubernetes, I know what that is, but I haven't done too much with cloud native yet, so I'm curious. So I might check out a session or two there and figure out what's going on.
So this next one, I thought there was a typo. It's AWS reInvent, and on their website, it says a free 3-week virtual conference. And that is true. It is 3 weeks long, and I'm kind of not processing that.
Well, this is the very premium conference they have. You know, a lot of times they have AWS summits around, which are free, 1 day little 4 or 5 tracks things we can go in and learn a little bit about, you know, all the AWS offerings. But reInvent is like a super intensive deep dive conference. I mean, it's massive. I mean, I think Brian Class said that when he went there, I mean, for some reason the big numbers like 30, 40,000 people are thrown out there. I mean, it's at least 5,000 people. It's one of the biggest conferences I've ever heard of. And it's a week long, 5 days, usually in, you know, like a bazillion sessions. It takes over half of the world when it's on. It's ridiculous. So having a 3-week virtual conference actually makes sense for that type of conference. So if you're doing AWS stuff, you'll want to, you know, definitely check out a lot of this stuff. But they have deep dives and crazy in-depth trainings, and it's intense. And by the way it's scheduled, it looks that way. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I know Brian Class loves it. He's gone, you know, year after year, and that's why he's like the AWS guy for us. But yeah, it definitely looks like lots of amazing stuff going on, and I can't believe it's free too. 'Cause it's not a cheap conference normally.
Right. That was what I was going to point out. This is a free 3-week virtual conference on all things AWS by the AWS folks and those that work with it all the time. So yeah, this is one of those conferences that's, you know, like $1,500 a ticket before. I'd have to go look up the
I think it
difference.
was even more than that. I mean, yeah,
And that's not even airfare, hotel, food.
yeah.
So this is a deal.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to look up real quick how many attendees they had for AWS. I mean, I said it's just one of those massive conferences.
So go ahead, if you do anything with AWS or are curious, free registration, free conference. Obviously, you don't have to attend the 3 weeks, but you can pick and choose the ones you want. So,
Yeah,
but just make sure to leave open December 3rd and 4th though for Into the Box Latam.
Yep, don't forget about that. But yeah, apparently AWS reInvent in 2019 had over 60,000 attendees. They had over 3,000 technical sessions. And they launched 50 new services for AWS. 50 services they announced. So, I mean, I knew it was in a different ballpark, and yep, that's it. But yeah, you're right. Into the Box Latam, maybe a little smaller scale conference there from the Ortus team, but it's definitely not to be forgotten. So you could take a couple of days off out of that 3-week session and pick up some good Into the Box Latam sessions. So last year in person, we had a great 1-day conference. It went really well, but this year we're going virtual, and we're doing some Spanish and some English content too. So again, we're trying to market to the Latin American crowd and trying to, help everyone get up to speed with programming. And David Bellinger's pretty excited in the chat. If I could read it, I'd be happier too. But again,
yes, sir. Let's go Latam.
Yeah, so latam.intothebox.org is the website. You can find out more about it. And yeah, definitely worth checking out. And again, it's only $7. It's the cheapest conference ticket you'll get from the Ortus people. It's we're just trying to make it more available, more open. And Brad will be trying to speak some Spanglish. He's learned really well off Luis over these years. I know the slides will be in Spanish. He'll be speaking English, but yeah, a lot of the sessions be presented by our Salvadorian team and Luis and Edgardo and Jorge. So most of it will be actually understandably Spanish. So that's good. Although Vil did say Brad might speak a little less if he speaks Spanish. So Anyways, so yeah, lots of great content coming at you guys. I'm really looking forward to a lot of these. So good conferences. Okay, well, let's get on to the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week here. We have a few in here
Yeah,
from our friend Ben Nadell. And
that's right. And both are in the same vein about WebSockets.
yeah, so,
So his first one is talk. Oh, go ahead.
oh, our lag is a little bad today. Sorry, everybody. But I was just saying, yeah, he's been using pusher WebSockets, and so he's been looking at sort of tying into ColdFusion with those WebSockets to get a more, interactive user experience. And so, and both of them talk about pusher. And in the comments I actually read, they got a really good freemium tier, like 200,000 requests or something. So if you guys are looking for something, pusher looks like a great way to get started. But basically, what they're just trying to do is tie into the pusher WebSockets when they're generating reports to basically show progress indicators. And I thought that was a really cool idea for using WebSockets, compared to like long polling and everything else. So,
Yeah. This
um,
is one that I've actually remember seeing the first time with Giancarlo at one of the Adobe ColdFusion Summits, or maybe it was Into the Box, but showing off Adobe's WebSockets the same way with long-running reports and things like that.
yeah, and so
So,
he has a video, and it's always great when he has a video. It really helps to, sort of fill in the missing pieces. Um, But yeah, it was pretty interesting. Again, he sort of has the steps where basically the different steps that you could be processing the document, and so as it works through, it ties into that. So it's really easy to use too. I mean, like this is all you have to do to send messages out to a channel. The pusher uh, CFC works really well and push them out to all the subscribers. So I know that we're hoping to get command boxes WebSockets up and running at some point here, so we can start doing more of that. Um, it's something that it seems like more and more people are wanting to tie into with the JavaScript getting more and more popular on the front end these days. So, um, but yeah, so really really good article. I said you should definitely check through it and watch the video. He's taken the time to make a video for it, so um, definitely look at that. But I just like how smooth and clean this looks. Looks so professional. Good job, Ben.
okay, next we got a tweet from Brad about a hidden feature of Adobe ColdFusion. So
Yeah.
evidently, if you open up your neo-logging XML file and you switch your console visible setting to true and start CF, you get a Java Swing GUI with all the logs.
And it looks like
So
this, which is pretty dang cool. I didn't know that either. I mean, Charlie, you're the king of hidden gems in ColdFusion. Have you seen this before? But yeah, so it's kind of neat. It just pops up a little swing tool, and yeah, I was like, dang, that is really cool.
back on the Ben train and going on this WebSockets idea. Ben had written in the previous and in this one how he feels like WebSockets is like a progressive enhancement feature. It's something nice to add, but it should work without it. And so he explores in this case. In the first one, he just kind of lets the browser reload, which is fine. And in this one, he's looking into doing some sort of long polling using ColdFusion and Redis to get the same kind of effect.
Yep, I liked his blocking left pop blop. I was like, what the heck? But yeah.
Redis has a lot of those awesome features. And if you're asking why Redis, if you have one ColdFusion server, like you'll probably be fine with that. If you have any more, you'll want something that can talk between all of them so that you can load balance. So that's why Redis is the go-to here for Ben.
Yep, and then obviously they're using Adobe ColdFusion in production, I believe. He uses Lucy for his testing and his local stuff, and there's less options with Adobe. They're adding more and more, caching options all the time. But he does even provide the Redis gateway for you here, so if you want to try it out some more. But as he mentions here, This is a pretty cool feature inside Lucy. We can just load the jar files and load things directly that way. So one of the neat features they have, pretty easy for dynamically loading jars. So, but yeah, and I like his comments. Oh, chickens. I love Lucy CFML so hot. Okay.
Okay, last up, we have an article from Toomba about how to use test box results within a GitLab CI pipeline. And so this is, in reading it, specifically about making some nice reporting that GitLab has built in. It shows you how to run your tests in test with their CI as well, but there's a way to use the JUnit report that's outputted as a special report in GitLab. And I know we've done this for a couple clients, and it will give you like your code coverage number, it will give you any failing tests will pop out, things like that. So it was a very easy to follow and concise tutorial on that. I loved it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, we're a fan of GitLab. There's so many good tools out there now. All the CI tools are getting pretty powerful, but we're using GitLab for quite a few customers, and yeah, I like the way we tie into that. It's kind of cool to see that code coverage number going up or even down. It shows you. It's kind of neat from build to build. So yeah, well, it's November. I guess election week meant that we didn't do a whole lot of blogging this week, so that was it for this week. So let's have a look at the job market. So CFML Jobs, getcfmljobs.com is a great way to see what's out there. So we have a couple of new positions this week. So we have a senior software engineer, ColdFusion in Pune, Maharashtra. And we also have a ColdFusion and SQL developer in Bengaluru, Karnataka. So both of those positions in India, but you can see there's quite a few other posts recently we have a couple in the States, it's a couple in Canada over the last few weeks. So if you want to find out more information, getcfmljobs.com is great. And if you want to post a job, if you're looking for someone, there's no charge, completely free if you want to post here as well. They do scrape different websites to get their listings, but definitely worth checking out if you're looking for a job. And we're also still looking, we still have our application open for the Ortus position. So if you go to ortussolutions.com/about-us careers, we have that open right now too. You can see some of the requirements, and the big ones are U.S. time zone availability is a must, and U.S. citizen or resident or work visa is a must for these positions. A lot of our clients have certain requirements, and try and give you lots of experience options of what you've done, what you're working with, and here's some of the reasons you should work with Ortus. And one of the big things is we really want to help people modernize and get out of legacy hell. But you get to work with some smart people on fun jobs. So if you're interested, definitely give us your application. And I know that we've been looking for a while, but we're always looking for more people, and hopefully they'll be making a few additions to the team here. So
yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yep, it's always fun having new people in the team and new projects. Okay, so let's talk about our ForgeBox module of the week. And this week, something we've actually mentioned a couple of times lately. Matt Clemente has been working on a little project on his live streams, and that's the Eversigncfc.
Right, so this is one of Matt's API wrappers. He has quite a few of them. If you've ever used one by John Berquist as well, they'll all look very familiar. And this one wraps Eversign, which is used to create, send, track legally binding e-signatures. So you can take a look at the package on ForgeBox and all the API there. So thanks for that. And also, the reason we've talked about this before is Matt has created this during some live streams. So if you want to go see how he made that, his YouTube channel, we've included in past show notes as well about him making this Eversign wrapper. So
yeah, and actually one of my customers is wanting to deal with some signing and everything, that asked me what I've worked with before, and now I can say we can work with Eversign too. So It's good to see, and there's a lot of good documentation. It's really thorough. I like Matt's rappers. They're very thorough, and it's good to see in the live streams how he built and how he went about it. So I like to see the problem solving that goes on in those live streams. So very cool. Okay, next up we have a VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And so this one,
this week we
go ahead.
This week we have the Git Stash extension, which adds to the current Git extensions that we have, and giving us a stash panel. So you already have, your working copy, things like that. Now you have one that interacts with stash, pushing, popping, those kind of things, deleting, all of that.
Yeah. Look pretty neat. I think John Farrar is one that recommended this one, so thanks, John, for reaching out. And yeah, it's nice to have the sort of built-in features or the extensions giving you those extra features in there. Yeah, there's a lot of good commands. I don't actually have this one installed yet, so I'm going to have to add this one. So, pretty cool. Okay, so last
that brings
up,
us here to the end.
Yep, so now's the time that we thank our Patreon supporters. So, obviously we mentioned at the start of the show, we have 33 Patreon supporters, and every single one of them is, committing their hard-earned money to help this podcast and Ortus Solutions, and we really appreciate it. I mean, they're paying more than Ortus for this podcast, which is a big deal. So, their support also goes into helping, tools like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all our other open source packages and libraries. And there's too many of those to list, but we can list those people that are helping us. And again, it means a lot to us, so we want to individually thank them. You want to go ahead and give it a whirl, Eric?
Let's do it. Thank you to Ben Nadal, Brett DeLine, Carl Van Stetten, Charlie Earhart, Dahl Lee, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, David Bellinger, Didier Lesnicki, Don Bellamy, Edgardo Cabezas, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, Jan Yannick, Jason Diger, Jeff McLean, Jeremy Adams, Jonas Erickson, Jordan Clark, Joseph Lamery, Kai Koenig, Laxma Titrahadi, Mario Rodriguez, Matthew Darby, Matthew Clemente, Mingo Hagen, Ross Phillips, Scott Steinbeck, Sean Oden, Stephen Klotz, Synaptrix, and Yogesh Mithur. Thank you for supporting us and the Modernizer podcast.
Yeah, we're much appreciated. And thanks to everybody else who supports us in other ways like, bug tickets, pull requests, documentation. All of that's very important. If you want to find out more about our sponsors, you can go to ortussolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. But again, thanks everyone for tuning in. For those who did, and those who are watching, you can go back to Apple now or go back to DigitalOcean's Deploy Conference. We thank you for coming and watching us for a little bit here. So you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.